Hello, my sweet and precious students. Welcome back. Got tugging my legs here. We're going to talk about lesson 41 today. In class, we've been talking a lot about averages. So finding the mean, median, and mode of a selection, a data of numbers, like a data of numbers, of data, aka a group of numbers, right? So today we're going to be talking, just a quick refresher for those of you. I'm on lesson 41, by the way. And if you're following along at home, 3rd edition, Algebra 1/2. So just a quick reminder on average is found by doing like 7. Actually, I'm going to do one, but I need to find it in the book. So pause for just a second. All right, you guys. So when we're finding regular average, we do, like, let's say it's math grades, right? You got 91, and then you got a 87, and you got a 64. You just didn't study for your test. And 79, right? And then plus 100. Okay, you've taken 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 math tests, and these are your scores for each one of those. To find the average, we add up each of those and we divide by the number of numbers. You'll see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We divide by the number of numbers gives us the average, okay? So in this case, if we were to do this, I just made those numbers up as I went along, so I hope that they work into something nicely. They never do. I shouldn't make my own problems up. It's crazy. All right, plus 100 is 420. Okay, you know what we're gonna do? We're gonna change this to an 8. So if you add all those guys up, we get 420. 420. Divide that by 5, and that'll give us our average. So we take 420 and we divide that by 5. We end up with 84 as our average, okay? So that's called the mean, right? So we've done this before. I think it's lesson 26 is what you need to go back and look at if you have questions about that. The other one that a lot of people have questions on are, for example, this is from problem set 36. It's number 1. The mean weight of 7 linebackers was 236 pounds, was the mean, okay? The first 6 linebackers weighed 215 plus 305 plus 265 plus 196 plus 221 plus 236, okay? So the way that this works is, so that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 plus x is our 7th one, because that's what we're looking for. We want to find we know the average, but we want to find the weight of the 7th linebacker. So it says, what was the weight of the 7th linebacker? So we know that there's 7 of them. If I take all those and I add them up and divide by the number of numbers, that's going to give me my average, right? So let's start by doing this. 215 plus 305 plus 265 plus 196 plus 221 plus 236 gives me, so if I add up all these guys right here, that gives me 1438 plus that x over there, right? Still, all of that is divided by 7. Divide that all by 7, I get my average, right? Well, conveniently, we're given the average, 236. So all we have to do is solve this problem. And in order to do so, see we're dividing by 7 here? We're actually gonna multiply both sides by 7, because when we do that, this goes away, but what I do to one side, I have to do to the other. So I end up with 1438 plus x equals 236 times 7 gives me 1652. Now, in order to solve for x, I'm going to subtract this from both sides. So I get minus 1438, because that cancels out, minus 1438. X equals 1652 minus 1438 gives me 214 pounds. So the last guy, that 7th linebacker, was 214 pounds. Again, this is just a refresh from lesson 26, okay? Now, what we're going to talk about today, though, is the overall average. So the way that this works is, for example, we're basically finding the average of the averages. Average of averages, right? Let's look at example number 1. Guys, if you're following along at home, this is on page 137, example number 1. They only give it one example and one practice problem, so we'll give this a shot. The average of the first 2 numbers was 6. The average of the next 8 numbers was 20. What is the overall average of the 10 numbers? So the average of the 2 So the average of the first two numbers was 6. So we take 2 and we multiply it by the number of numbers, 6, okay? Plus the average of the next 8 numbers was 20. 8 times 20, okay? That means we had 2 numbers and 8 numbers. That's 10 whole numbers. So we're gonna do 10 plus 8, okay? That's, or 2 plus 8, 2 plus 8. This is gonna give us equals overall average, So if we do this, we get 12 plus 8 times 2 is 16 with a 0, right? Over 10. So then we've got 172 over 10, right? Take that. We know that just means move our decimal in, so it's going to be 1.72 or 1.72. Let's try that again. I moved my decimal too far. 17.2. 17.2 for our overall average. So the overall average of all those numbers is going to be 17.2. All right. So let's look at practice problem A. If you want to pause this and do the practice problem and see if you got it right, that's good. Otherwise, stick around. You can watch this. The average price of the first 4 items was $40. So I have the first 4 items times $40. That means we had 4 items and they were about $40 each. That's why we're multiplying. Plus, the average price of the next 6 items was $80. So 6 times $80. Divided by the number of numbers. Well, there's 4 and 6, which is 10. So you add those guys together. So we get 160 plus 6 times 8 is 48 with a 0 over 10. Okay? This equals, I don't want to make a mistake because it's costing me a fortune in candy. So, 160 equals. So this equals 640 divided by 10, which reduces down to lob those off. It reduces down to 64. 64, okay? So the average price, the overall average is, and this is how you'd write it, is the overall average is $64 per item, okay? So let me see if I can find another example in one of the other ones. Bear with me just one second, kiddos. Okay, so if you turn the page to lesson 42, on page 141, there's another problem that's real similar to this, okay? That says, let me just adjust here. Okay, it's number 3, and it says 70 people have been employed for 20 years. 70 people for 20 years. 30 other people have been employed for 10 years. Using the information in the graph below, what was the overall average salary of the 100 employees, the 100 given employees? Okay, so if they were employed for 20 years, they had okay, so I should probably show for those of you who don't have the book. Okay, do you see that guy there? So if they were employed for 20 years, they had a salary of, the average salary was $40,000, okay? So there were 70 people that met that criteria, okay? 70 people that met that criteria. Okay, guys, sorry, I had to make some adjustments there. So talking about those guys that were on average, I just messed with my camera and, okay. So it was 70 people had been employed for 20 years, and at 20 years, the average salary was $40,000. So there's 70 people times that $40,000, plus 30 people had been employed for 10 years. So at 10 years, the salary was $30,000. So again, we want to add this and this right here. That's a total of 100 people. So we're going to divide by 100. Okay, 7 times 4 is 28 with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 zeros. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 zeros. I'm going to throw some commas in there just to make life a little easier. There we go. Plus 3 times 3 gives us 9 with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 zeros. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 zeros. Again, throwing some commas in there. Okay, so, messing with my bangs. That's what I get. All right, 100. Okay, so what we're going to do is we add those two things up, and if we do, we end up with, it's basically 28 and 9, right? So 7, 1, which gives me 3. So if we add these two things up, we end up, I don't want to block this off here, equals 37 with 1, 2, 3 zeros. There we go. Divided by 100. Again, we can lob off some zeros here. Bam, bam. So we end up with 37 with 1, 2, 3 zeros here. That is $37,000 was the overall average. The overall average salary was $37,000. That's how you would write that. Okay, guys, if you have any questions, let me know in class. Otherwise, good work, and I will see you soon. Thanks so much.